angel coming for to sing his song. I can hear the drummer drumming. He's coming, and it won't be long. Hear the cry across the nations. People wanna be free, yeah. Free to leave the great plantations. Free to be who they want to be. I see it squeaks out freedom, and it won't be long.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm pretty fond of that song as well. I know the guy that wrote it and recorded it. Hey, folks, I'm going to be on here just real quick. This is Everett with Ohio for Freedom. And it is Wednesday, the 6th of October. And I wanted to come on here just real quick and share with you. I'm only going to talk about one news story today. You might be familiar with it, but, my inbox is a pretty good indicator of what is circulating in large volume. And I don't think this has gotten as much attention as it should because it's really very, very explosive. It's bombshell. And so let me just get this right out of the way. Monday night, Alex Jones was able to get a hold of a piece of video that was all on C-SPAN, Mr. Fact Checker dude. All on C-SPAN. This really, really happened with Tony Fauci, and Rick Bright from HHS, Health and Human Services. And then I think Mike Spector was a name, a reporter from the New Yorker, I believe was the magazine. But this piece of video that was originally put out, I don't know the poster's name or the handle or anything, but it's originally on BitChute. But folks, first of all, we knew that there was Event 201. Then we found later about the SPARS document. Then you look at Operation Lockstep and the Rockefeller Foundation, and this is just a pile-on. And so let me tell you what I've done. Alex did a great job. If you got a full hour, go find it on InfoWars and watch the whole thing. And but you may not have that time. But it was brought to my attention by Gateway Pundit, and so what I've done is on OhioForFreedom.com. If you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see the link and the icon, and it'll take you to that Gateway Pundit story. And you can watch the short version of it, and you can watch the long version of it, and you can read a whole lot more information. I've got audio only. Are we not getting visual feed here? Is that happening? Daniel, it says audio only. So I'm going to wait till I get a comment that says we have a camera feed, because I don't have a camera feed. I don't know what to do. You know what I am going to do? I'm going to go ahead and play this clip. Somebody can see me. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry you can see me. Listen, this clip is only about 1:50 in total, but I've broken it up into 5 segments, and I'm going to play the first segment.
Why don't we blow the system up? I mean, obviously, we can't just turn off the spigot on the system we have and then say, hey, everyone in the world should get this new vaccine we haven't given to anyone yet. But there must be some way that we grow vaccines mostly in eggs, the way we did in 1947.
Okay, so that was Mike Spector. He's a writer for the New Yorker magazine. And this event, folks, get this. As we go through this, keep in mind, this happened in October of 2019. It happened in the same month that Event 201 took place, which was only about 2 months after Kary Mullis, the inventor of PCR that was never intended to be a test, died under mysterious causes in August. So this is highly, highly suspicious, especially when we are finding out that most likely the initial emergence of this virus was in October or September. But let me take a look at what he said. He said, why can't we just blow the system up? He's talking about our healthcare system. Now, here's what I would say. Is this guy a real reporter? Is he asking an honest question? Or is he a plant? Is he asking this question not sincerely, but to sort of open up a discussion that they want to happen. And then he says, because, we're still growing, I think he's talking about vaccines, we're still growing them in eggs like we did in 1947. And so one of the things you pick up on right away is this bias that things that have been working and have been successful, well, they can't be any good anymore just because they've been around for a while. It's almost like the concept of built-in obsolescence. You can't build a car that lasts forever, because then you can't sell somebody a new car in 5 years. But I'd ask this gentleman, Mr. Spector, do we still use the law of lift, that the Wright brothers used when they flew their first airplane in, 1906? Do we still use combustion engines? Do we still use any part of your life today, Mr. Spector? Did it involve the use of a wheel because they've been around for a while? I'm going to keep this discussion rolling. And then this was Tony Fauci's response.
To make the transition from getting out of the tried and true egg growing, which we know gives us results that can be, beneficial. I mean, we've done well with that, to something that has to be much better. You have to prove that this works, and then you've got to go through all of the clinical trials, phase 1s, phase 2s, phase 3, and then show that this particular product is going to be good over a period of years. That alone, if it works perfectly, is going to take a decade.
So that's Tony Fauci saying, if you're going to make a transition, and folks, I'm going to try to keep it brief. Why do we need to make a transition, Tony? These people want to argue out of both sides of their mouth. And this clip, they're trying to argue that old vaccine technology, well, it's old. It's from 1947. We're still growing in eggs like we did in 1947. Yet those same people are the ones that will turn around and say, anybody that would be reluctant to, try this new hallelujah to the V. I mean, we've been using vaccines for a long time. So they like to talk out of both sides of their mouth. But mostly what you're hearing Tony Fauci bemoan is the fact that to do it right and to do it safe is going to take a long time, and he doesn't like that. But I would remind this audience that Tony Fauci does not have a very good track record when it comes to vaccines, because in 1995, Tony Fauci applied for a patent with the U.S. Patent Office for a vaccine for HIV-1, and it was turned down flat because it didn't even meet the basic lowest standard for a vaccine. But what you heard was a sentiment from Fauci that, man, there's just something wrong with this system, that, if we did phase 1, phase 2 and did it right and everything worked. And then he's talking about making a transition to something that's going to be so much better. Well, obviously they're talking about the mRNA, but folks, do we know that it's better? Do we know yet that it's better? I'm being careful with what I say here, but at that time, when one had never, ever been introduced at all, certainly didn't know that. So this whole conversation begins with the conclusion that traditional vaccines, there's something wrong with them, and we need to do something better. And that case has barely been made, and it certainly hasn't been proven. Now, this fellow, Rick Bright, is from Health and Human Services. Listen to this.
Be a need or even an urgent call for an entity of excitement out there that's completely disruptive, that's not beholden to bureaucratic strings and processes.
I think Rick needs to work on using his hands, because I don't know if he uses his hands enough, but he's saying maybe we need an entity of excitement that is not beholden to the existing bureaucracy. Excuse my language, folks. Isn't he basically saying we need to scare the living, just fill in the blank, out of people? And doesn't that sound an awful lot? I didn't have time to pull the documentation on a one-man deal here, and I don't want to be on here too long, but remember, I've shown this audience before, Peter Daszak saying that the hype, the media drives the hype, and the money follows the hype. The media pushes the hype, and the money follows the hype. And when there's a lot of hype, there will be a lot of money. And isn't that what he's talking about? We need an engine of excitement. And again, you get this foregone conclusion that we got something better, that we know it's better, We just need a way to scare the daylights out of people so that they'll go for it. And again, I don't reach that same conclusion. I'm being very careful of what I say. But again, science is not having made up your mind about something before you experiment with it. And that's exactly what's happening. I'm going to keep this conversation rolling. And because mostly, folks, if I would really encourage you to pick up one of these articles, go through it, and then share this. Now here's Tony again. Let's go. Come on, Tony.
So we really do have a problem of how the world perceives influenza, and it's going to be very difficult to change that unless you do it from within and say, I don't care what your perception is, we're going to address the problem in a disruptive way and in an iterative way, because you do need both.
Okay, did you hear that? He's saying that we do need a disruption. We need just so much chaos, so much fear porn. We need so much fear that it just scares everybody, that it elevates little Tony to a platform where he can say, I don't care what your perception is. We've got to deal with this. And this is the same Tony Fauci that lied to the public about masks. And then later, he admitted that he lied, but he lied for good reasons, because you didn't want to, there's a shortage of PPE for frontline workers. But he's in several instances, Tony Fauci has looked the camera in the eye and said, well, I wasn't telling you the truth before because you weren't ready for it, but now I am telling you the truth. And this is the same Tony Fauci that, just over the weekend said it's too early to see if you can have Christmas. And then 2 days later, when public backlash was more than he could handle, said, I never said that. Folks, everybody in this audience knows you can't trust him there. But I want you to see that they were salivating for such a cataclysmic series of events that they would be able to bypass the normal scheme of things. I think we're down to the very last clip, and I believe that this is Rick Not So Bright again. Come on.
It's not too crazy to think that an outbreak of a novel avian virus could occur in China somewhere. We could get the RNA sequence from that, beam it to a number of regional centers, if not local, if not even in your home at some point, and print those vaccines on a patch and self-administer.
Naya, or Nia, however you pronounce your name, I completely agree with you, because she's saying these folks are the personification of all that is evil. Now, Mr. Talk with the Hands, Rick Not So Bright, I want to unpack a few things that he did, because, folks, this guy is obviously a very, very useful idiot. Okay, so he's saying it's not too crazy to think that an avian flu could come out of somewhere in China, and then we could broadcast or ship the RNA sequence all over. And then, perhaps even, people, if you were listening closely, he said they would, perhaps even be able to administer a vaccine in the home. Now, what he's referring to, I believe, is CRISPR technology. Now, you may not be familiar with CRISPR technology. It's spelled CRISPR, no E. Look it up on YouTube, and it basically is using genetics to read a little bit of DNA code, and then coming up with modifications to DNA. And if you're familiar with the concept of a 3D printer, it's almost like that, where you literally have people that want to be able to genetically modify themselves from the comfort of their own home. And he's saying that we would broadcast these vaccine RNA sequences that we would immediately figure out, and people could even just download it on your computer. And I mean, that's what it sounds like he's saying to me. And here's the reason I'm saying that this, folks, they're talking about this is very, very, very evil. But some of the people that are involved in evil are just absolutely clueless. And Mr. Talk with the Hands has got to be one of them. And I'm going to lay out my case why I believe that. First of all, Mr. Talk with the Hands that thinks we need an engine of excitement to upset the whole apple cart and make people accept this. Mr. Rick Not So Bright, nobody's going to get behind you with a self-administered hallelujah to the V that you can administer yourself. Why? And these are the proofs of the useful idiocy. There's no money in that, pal. What planet are you on? You don't have a clue what's going on here, pal. Number two, there'd be no control in that. There'd be no lockdowns. There'd be no passports. There would be no restrictions. There would be no essential businesses. There would be no overthrow of government systems. There would be no what's this that starts with an S county in Colorado that just passed a resolution that the board of commissioners, one person can declare an emergency and can decide whether or not you can buy alcohol or buy firearms or bullets or shut down any business, and within a period of 2 or 3 days spend up to $300,000. Why? Because, well, if New Zealand does it, why can't I do it? And if Canada is letting law enforcement just walk into people's house with no arrest warrant, why can't I? So, Mr. Rick Bright Guy, talking with your hands, you don't have a clue what this is all about. You're just one of the people that are facilitating it. And so, folks, I think I'm going to jump off here. Go to HowForFreedom.com and you can find the link, or just go to Gateway Pundit. It should be, right now it's 8:30 on the 6th of October. But take that story. But this is something that needs to be pushed out. It is just more evidence of evil Fauci and pre-planning and just a real willingness to go along with any kind of narrative that's going to so completely upset the apple cart that we would embrace something that's never been done before, never been proven before. And there you have it. And then the last thing that I'll say is it was housed at the Milken Institute, and the Milken Institute just did a little bit of research on him, and it was founded by Mike Milken. He was the junk bond king. He was the guy that was convicted of 6 felonies, and then later founded the Milken Institute. They seem to have an annual revenue of about $89 million. And do you really trust the health advocacy of a junk bond king that had to plead guilty to 6 felonies? So there you have it, folks. That's really all I got. But I wanted to share that with you. So, the overall effect of this is probably not new to a lot of the folks. It's just one more smoking gun. Add it to Event 201. Add it to the SPARS document. Add it to Operation Lockstep, and a whole lot more research that we're going. But the good news is, folks, God's got this. God's got this. Okay, I'm real good at saying I'm going to close and not, but this time I'm going to close. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please like, please share, please subscribe. And until next time, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless this. And bless the, you know what else happened in March of 19, that same year that this happened, was when Mike DeWine tried to put dictator powers into the Ohio Revised Code in the event of a medical emergency that he would be able to declare.